What's going on, Yu-Gi-Oh fans? PlotArmorCards in the house, and today I'm going to be coming to you with another TCG Player article called "The Best Decks from the Latest Regionals, August 2020." Now, this is, I would say, very good information just to have because it lets us know that hey, what decks work really, really well. I mean, we have a general idea, but there's certain cards and certain tech options that we might not know about. Especially I'm talking about myself, but it does help people improve their own decks and perhaps give some suggestions to improve these decks, So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. So first we got Punk Sprite, which cost $1,371. Oh, wow. All right, so one copy of Artifact Scythe, and it's a 46 card deck, by the way. One copy of Artifact Scythe, 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 Effect Veilers, 3 Nibirus, 1 No Punk Deer Note, 1 No Punk Foxy Tune, which I was honestly really interested in the Punk deck in general. I wanted to kind of try it just as a package and on its own, but it's too expensive for me right now. And then one copy of No Punk Ze Amen, one copy of Frame Driver, 3 copies of Gamma, of course, 2 copies of Plague Spreader Zombie. I guess it's a tuner and it's level 2, so it does work with Sprite. So 1 copy of Blue, 1 copy of Carrot, 1 copy of Jet, 1 copy of Red, and 1 copy of Wandering Griffin Rider. Okay, so this person is also using the Rite of Ermesir cards. 3 copies of Water Enchanters of the Temple, and this is probably going to get hit on the next ban list too. Spells: 1 Called by the Grave, 1 Dracoback the Rideable Dragon for the package here. 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. That's to get out. You can get out the Z Amen, I think, and then you can also get out the Frame Gear Gammas as well. The other ones are too high leveled for you to pop them out with that. But next we have Fateful Adventure, of course, Foolish Burial, 3 Pot of Prosperities, of course, Draw Power, 3 Rite of Armor-Seer. That's, yep, you're going to have to do that. 3 copies of Sprite Starter. And for the traps, we got 3 Infinite Permanents, which is, yep, makes sense because you are going to be able to, you're going to need to negate effects. So for the extra deck, we got Access Code Talker at 1, Artifact Dagda at 1, which you are running Scythe, so that doesn't make sense. 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Chaos Root of the Chaotic Magical Dragon, 1 Kristan Hulky Fibrax. This thing might get hit on the ban list too. 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 2 Gigantic Sprite, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Salamar Great Almirage, 1 Selene Queen of the Master Magicians. This card has been starting to get pretty hyped too. So this is a card I don't own, but it's probably one I'm going to be picking up in the future. 2 copies of Sprite Elf. Well, this card just works with everything. So I would definitely recommend that if you're running any type of like level 2 deck in general, it's one worth picking up. 1 copy of TG Wonder Magician. So for the side deck, we got Artifact Lancia, 3 Artifact Sectum, 1 Dino Wrestler Pankratops, 3 Evenly Matched, 2 Lightning Storm, 1 Red Reboot, and 3 Trap Trick. So this is an interesting side deck. It's not like one that I've seen too often, if I'm being honest. But hey, it worked for this person, right? It got him very, very far. So who am I to complain about this? So this is the deck. I think it's pretty good overall. And moving on to the next one, we got Frog Sprite, and this one is considerably cheaper, but still expensive as hell, at $970.57. Now, this one is also above 40 cards, and we're starting to see that more and more, just because there's so many options and so many things that you can do. So, first of all, I got 2 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 copies of DD Crow, 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva, 1 Dupe Frog, 1 Veiler, 1 Ghost Ogre Snow Rabbit, and 1 Frame Driver. Usually when you're running like 1 and 1, I would expect to see Crossout Designator, but it depends. So let's see. 3 Frame Gear Gamma, of course, because you're going with a 1 driver, 1 Ronin Totem, 3 blue, okay, 1 Carrot, 3 Jet, 1 red, 3 Swap Frog, and 1 Yamatako Orochi. Now this card is interesting because it lets you level manipulate, and it's a tuner. So it does help you get into some Synchro Summon plays. I actually haven't thought about this card to use in any of my decks, really. I've pulled so many from Dimension Force, I just never used it. So this might be something that is on the come up in the future, depending on how many people use this certain card as a tech option in their decks. So let's take a look at the spells. So 1 copy of Called by the Grave. Of course, you want to be able to get rid of certain hand traps. 3 Crossout Designator. I freaking called it. 3 Crossout Designator, which, by the way, I remember everyone was telling people to pick it up at like 34, and now it's like 27 bucks. So I might have to pick these up soon. I don't own any currently, but if it gets to like 10, 15 bucks, for sure I'm picking them up. Or if I see like a damaged copy right now, or like a heavily played version, I'll probably pick it up just because It is a very useful card. It's just not. It hasn't seen as much play as you'd think. 3 copies of Dark Ruler No More. Of course, you're gonna need that effect negation. 3 copies of Emergency Teleport, and in this situation, I think it's going to be to get out your Frame Gear Gamma. And what else do we got? 1 copy of Smashers. 3 copies of Sprite Starter, which, as is in the name, it's the starter for the archetype, so of course. And in addition to the Dark Ruler No More, it looks like for the traps, we're also going to be running 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, which, yep, as much as you can negate, the better I think it will be. Next, for the extra deck. So this person also running 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Baron de Fleur. So these 2 things have been pretty much in common for both those decks, which is to be expected, let's be honest. 1 copy of Cat Shark. I wanted to pick up this card, but it's too expensive for me right now. I'm not paying $11 for this thing. So I'm going to wait until this thing gets a reprint, and then I'll probably pick it up. We got 1 Crystalline Hockey Fibrax, 1 Desert Locust. Interesting. I do have a couple of these, so maybe I should try it out. 1 copy of Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, Sky Thunder, 2 copies of Gigantic Sprite, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Frame Lord Omega, 1 Sky Cavalry Centuria, 2 Sprite Elves, and 1 Totally Awesome. This card is insane. It's going a little bit down in price compared to what it was before, because it was like super hyped at one point, but I would definitely recommend you pick this up. However, it's possible part of the Sprite package, or the Toad package, does get hit on the next ban list. People were talking about maybe limiting Totally Awesome. Either that or limiting Swap Frog. So it's possible that happens. Knowing Konami, something else could happen, and that package could get hit too. But next, for the side deck, we got Cosmic Cyclone, 3-dimensional barrier. I feel like this card is kind of underrated. It shuts down a lot of different decks, especially if you're focused on like one specific thing. Like a lot of the Albaz decks are just their fusion both focused, right? You just play these and you have the potential to shut them out of their entire game. 1 copy of Pankratops, 1 copy of Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. Well, this thing is seeing a lot of play these days too. 3 copies of Lightning Storm, 3 copies of Nibiru, and 1 copy of Red Reboot. Not bad. This is actually pretty good, I would say. I know I'm saying this is actually pretty good. These decks are way better than anything I could have come up with, let's be honest. But these are super dope overall. So next, we got another Frog Sprite deck. So let's see how this one differs from the other one. So starting off, I think not the Ash Blossom, but the hand trap ratios are going to be a little bit different. So it looks like we're running at 3 Ash Blossoms, 3 Deep Sea Divas, which is I use that as well. 1 copy of Dupe Frog. 2 copies of Ghost Bell, and 2 Ghost Ogres. So it's possible this person isn't running the Crossout Designator package. 1 copy of Driver, 3 copies of Gamma, the 1 Ronin Totem, of course, the 3 Sprite Blue, 1 Sprite Carrot, 3 Sprite Jet, 1 Pixies, 2 Red, and 3 Swap Frogs. Okay, so overall, I would say it's pretty like what you'd expect, with slightly differing ratios from the other one. So this one up here, I think, was running, 2 Ash Blossoms. This person threw a DD Crow as well. I think DD Crow does really good in the modern meta, so I would personally throw in DD Crow as well. But obviously, like, this person was also running Yamatako Orochi, so that's something that we haven't seen so far in this deck, at least. It's possible he has it coming up, maybe in the side deck or something, but I doubt that. But we're looking at spells, so Called by the Grave, yep, you'd expect that. Emergency Teleport, again, you'd expect that. Pot of Desires, some draw power. But he decided to go for Desires over the card that this person was using. Was this person using anything? No, actually, he wasn't. I'm tripping. So this person chose not to go for any cards that gave him additional draw power, like Pot of Extravagance, etc., etc. But this person is using Pot of Desires just to get some additional draw power. We got a Smashers, 3 starters, of course, and 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. Now, this card is seeing a lot more play these days. It was at $20 at one point, and I was thinking about picking it up, but I was like, nah, people aren't really using it, so it's gonna get a little bit cheaper. And then what do you know? People start using it again, and it bumps up to 28. So yeah, so this person decided to go for tactics, and I would say a little bit more draw power as compared to the other person who was playing a little bit more defensively, based on their Nobleman of Crossout. Is that Crossout Designator? Sorry, not Nobleman of Crossout. And then traps, 2 copies of Infinite Permanence. I feel like that's pretty common in all of these decks. Access Code Talker, yep. Cat Shark, yep. Crystalline Hockey Fibrax, yep. The Dark Charmer, Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, 1 Downward Magician, 2 Gigantic Sprite, 1 IP Masquerena, Nightmare Unicorn, and then we got 1 copy of Oni. I don't even know what this card does actually. Oni Mibaru, the Soul Sweeper. Hopefully I said that correctly. 1 Sky Cavalry, 2 Sprite Elves, and 1 Totally Awesome. Now I feel like if you're playing against a Toad deck, a Sprite Toad deck, then you can kind of anticipate what is in the main deck and what is in the extra deck. Just because, in my experience, all the ones I've come across, they pretty much play very similar cards with slight differences. So for the side deck, a Pointer of the Red Lotus, of course. This card is seeing some play, which is kind of surprising. I had 3 of the structure deck Freezing Chains, so I do have 3 of these sitting around. But I kind of don't like this card. I know some people like it, some people don't. But it's possible I might just flip mine. 2 DD Crows. Okay, so he does have his Crows side decked. 2 Dimensional Barriers. This card is super underrated, I'm telling you guys. 2 copies of Forbidden Droplet. 3 Lightning Storms. Okay. 2 Nibiru's, 1 Red Reboot, and 1 Red Resonator. This is an interesting option, actually. Red Resonator. I had not used this deck, or not this card specifically, outside of my Red Dragon Archfiend deck. However, it is a level 2, plus it is a tuner, so has potential for some tomfoolery in this deck, that's for sure. Let's keep going forward. What is this? Frog Tier Elements. Okay, interesting. So, 3 Danger Mothmans. Now, I know the Tier Element strategy is playing some danger cards right now. For until the Shizu cards come out, this deck overall is still really good, but it's gonna push it to like the next level. And so next we got 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 1 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, 1 No Punk Deer Note, 1 No Punk Foxy Tune, 1 No Punk Zeamen, 1 Plague Spreader Zombie. Okay, I believe this has the ability to revive itself, right? If I'm not mistaken. How do I? Am I able to look at this in more depth? Let's see. Okay, so Plague Spreader Zombie. If this card is in your graveyard, you can place 1 card from your hand on top of your deck, special summon this card. Okay, so yeah, it does have the consistent ability to special summon itself. Plus, tier elements are really good about dumping stuff in the grave and going for fusion summons and whatnot. So yeah, I could see how this has pretty good synergy. The 1 Ronin Totem, 3 Swap Frogs, 3 tier elements Heaviness, 2 tier elements Merely, 3 copies of Rhino Heart, and 3 copies of Shiren. I always suck at pronouncing these cards, but okay, so that seems pretty solid. For the spells, we got 1 copy of Called by the Grave, 3 Dark Lure No Mores, 3 Emergency Teleports. So this is going to be mostly for the punk cards, I think, because I don't remember seeing a... Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so we got Zeamen as a target, and is that it? I think Zeamen is the only target for now that I can see. How many Zeamens are you running? 1. Maybe I'm missing something here. Interesting. Wait a minute. Was one of these psychic? Oh, yeah. I completely forgot. Ghost Ogre is also a psychic. So I guess that works for Ghost Ogre as well. And you can use it to pop off more combos. And 1 copy of Galaxy Cyclone, 1 copy of Instant Fusions. I'm curious what the Instant Fusion target will be in this situation. 3 copies of the Field Spell, Prime Evil Planet Perlino. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. I actually pulled one of these in my Power of the Elements, and I sold it for like $80 because I was like, the rest of the deck is going to be so expensive. There's no way I'm going to get my hands on it. Now it's at 100, so maybe I should have waited a couple days, a couple weeks, and then sold it. But yeah, 1 copy of Terraforming, obviously, to search this. 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. Again, it's seeing a lot more play in the modern meta. 3 copies of Infinite Permanence, and 1 Tier Elements Meta Noise. Okay. For the extra deck, we got 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Chaos Ruler, the Magical Dragon, which does help dump a bunch of stuff in the grave, so it works really well with this strategy. 1 copy of Crystalline Halqifibrax, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Divine Arsenal Double Zeus, 1 Gigantic Sprite, 2 Dracostapelia. Interesting. It just takes 1 fusion monster plus a dark monster. Actually, yeah, this is completely makeable in this deck. 1 Sprite Elf. I guess that's to help with the Frog Engine. 1 tier elements Kaleido Heart. 2 tier elements Kit Kalos. And 1 copy of the Zombie Vampire, 1 Time Thief Redoer, and 1 Totally Awesome. Now, this is a card I haven't seen in meta decks in a very long time. Very, very long time. But apparently it's seen success, so might be something worth picking up. I do have, I don't honestly, because there's so many common printings of this. I have 8 or 9 of these, if I'm being honest. So let's see what this high deck entails. We got 2 Drolls, 3 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. That's fair. There's a lot of like annoying cards that you'd want to get out of the way. Like if your opponent's playing Mystic Mine, or you come across like an Eldritch deck, Harpy's Feather Duster would help. Lightning Storm is useful. 2 Nibiru's just to get certain cards out of your opponent's way. 1 Red Reboot, which this is a card that's coming up pretty often if I'm being honest, but it just got reprinted, so I'm gonna wait for the reprint and I might pick up a couple. I do have 1 or 2 of them I think, but I will hold on to a couple of them. 3 copies of Solemn Judgment, so not bad. Yep, the ability to negate is necessary. So Tier Elements Eldritch. Okay. 2 copies of Eldritch the Golden Lord, because you do this does help you get basically your Eldritch in the grave as quickly as possible. So yeah, I would say this is pretty dope. 1 Shadow Beast, and that's to go into the window, I believe. And it gives you drawing power. And 3 copies of Havness, 3 copies of Merrily, 3 copies of Rhino Heart, 3 copies of Sharon. Now, mostly in Eldritch cards or Eldritch decks, you're not going to see many monsters. So yeah, I think that's more than enough. For the spells, 2 copies of Cursed Outland, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Instant Fusion, 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, 3 copies of Primeval Planet, this thing again, and 1 Terraforming in order to search that. For the traps, we got a Conquistador of the Golden Land times 3, which is honestly great removal. I really hope this doesn't get hit. 3 copies of Elixir of Scarlet Sanguine, 2 Huck Heroes, banishes cards from the grave, obviously works really well in the modern meta. 3 Skill Drains, which I love this card because I can take out so many decks with it. I only use it in my Eldritch deck, once in a while in my Blue Eyes deck, but when I get to use it, it shuts the other person down. So much needed. 1 copy of Meta Noise, 2 copies of Suliak, and 3 There Can Only Be One. Okay, interesting. It's another Floodgate, can shut your opponent down. For the extra deck, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Pleiades, 1 the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Divine Arsenal AA Zeus, of course, and the 1 Winda to shut your opponent down. We got the 1 Link Spider, 1 Millenniumize Restrict, so that's what the Instant Fusion... Was there an Instant Fusion here? I don't remember. Yes, there was Instant Fusion, so we're going to be going into Millenniumize Restrict. This thing, if you're going first, you go into that, has the potential to, I guess, negate hand traps and whatnot, so I could see it. Personally, I sold mine for $60. I had 2 of them, and I sold them both for $60. So when it gets reprinted, I'll probably pick it up, but I made some good money, so I'm not tripping. 2 Predaplant Dragostapelias, 1 Super Dreadnought Rail Gustav Cannon Max. This card is super dope just because it's just straight damage. It does help OTK. 1 copy of Tier Elements Kaleido Heart, 2 Tier Elements Kit Kalos, 1 Redoer again, interesting, and 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. Alright, so side deck, 3 Dark Luno Morse, 1 Deck Devastation Virus, which from what I know, it does help get rid of sprites, because most of the cards meet the description that's needed here. So let me carefully navigate to this. Tribute 1 Dark Monster with 2,000 or more attack. Check all your opponent's hand and all monsters they control, and all cards they draw until the end of your opponent's 3rd turn after this card's activation. Destroy all monsters with 1,500 less attack, which is a lot of the Splite monsters, plus a lot of the frog monsters in that package anyway, so it does really just to screw them over. 2 Mystic Mines. Okay, this guy is prepared for some degeneracy. 1 Set Rotation that gets out a Mystic Mine plus their own field spell at the same time, so it's pretty dope. 3 Solemn Judgments just for the negation. Nice. Floorandereeze. Okay, I honestly didn't think I'd see this. But a good Floorandereeze deck, honestly, you can get a good Floorandereeze deck for kind of cheap. However, if you want, like, I guess a meta type deck, it's going to cost you $985. So let's just go ahead and look into this. So 3 Ash Blossoms. This guy's running 2 Barrier Statues of the Stormwinds. Usually I see it at 1, but it seems like he's running at 2. So if it works for him, it works for him, right? 3 Dimension Shifters, which of course is a must-have. 3 Floorandereeze and an Eglin. 3 M-Pin. 3 Robina. Oh, sorry, 2 M-Pin, 3 Robina. I don't think anyone runs 3 M-Pin. It's usually 1 or 2. Mostly 2. 1 Stree, 1 Toucan, 1 Apex Evian, and of course 1 copy of Rise of the Mega Monarch. I picked up like 6 of these since they got reprinted, so I'm going to be playing around with these as well in the future. So 3 copies of Advent of Adventure, which honestly is a great card for this archetype. 3 copies of Magnificent Map, of course the field spell. 1 copy of Unexplored Winds, 3 Pot of Duality, okay, and 2 Pot of Extravagance, which, yeah, you don't really use the extra deck that much, so I can completely see maybe running 3 and 3 if you really wanted to. 3 Pot of okay, never mind. He's running a lot of draw power. 3 Prosperity, 2 Ultimate Slayer, which is, I think, the first time we've seen this card come up. It is very, very popular right now, but I think it's the first time we've seen it come up. For the traps, we're using 1 copy of Dreaming Town, so interesting. For the extra deck, what the hell? Why is it 30 cards in the extra deck? There has to be some sort of... Yeah, I think it was... this has to be typo, because when you're going into Droll and Lockbird here, it's not an extra deck. So I guess it's extra deck and side deck just got put together or something. So we'll just look at it accordingly. So 1 ABC Dragon Buster, 1 Kriston Halki Fibrax, 1 Dark Templar at Ignister, a Divine Arsenal Double Zeus, 1 Downward Magician, 3 Droll and Lockbird, 3 Elder Entity Natis, 3 Evenly Matched, 1 Flunderies and Unexplored Winds, 3 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, 1 Gigantic Sprite, 3 Harpy's Featherstorm, which honestly I main deck this. I would completely main deck because it just has the potential to shut your opponent down. 2 Lightning Storm, 1 Lebelnion the Searing Dragon, 1 Lyrilisk Assembled Nightgale, 1 Marinasis Sea Angel, 1 Prime Mathematic, I don't know how to pronounce that, 1 Sword Soul Grandmaster, I don't know how to pronounce that either, 1 Kit Kalos, and 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. So I'm pretty sure this is extra deck and side deck, but they just got mixed in together. So overall, I think this is Flunderies deck. I did not expect to be that high, if I'm being honest. At least not in modern times. But even then, modern Flunderies cards, 38 cards. So I haven't. Wait, 38 cards. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. This is a glitch. Something's wrong. That's all I can say. There's something wrong with this. But okay, moving forward, I'm gonna pick up a Flunderies deck maybe next month when my paycheck comes in. It's a cheap and fun deck to mess around with, and you will pick up some wins. But Zombie World completely counters this deck, so I didn't really expect too much. But from what the side decks we've seen so far, I don't really think anyone has been running Zombie World. So yeah, moving forward, Branded Eldritch. It was only a matter of time. I wanted to see this deck do good, and let's see what we got. So it was only 6 monsters in this entire thing. 1 Dogmatica Ecclesia, 2 Eldritch the Golden Lord, 2 Fallen of Elbaz, and 1 Gizmic Orochi. Alright, so we got 3 branded fusions, which this might get hit in the future too. Might get semi-limited or maybe even limited. It just depends on Konami's mood, honestly. 1 Called by the Grave, 3 Cross Outland, 3 Demise of the Land to be able to search field spells. 1 Elixir of Black Awakening, 3... Oh, okay. Yep, I had a feeling. Full Degeneracy, 3 Mystic Minds in the main deck. Alright, 2 copies of Nadir Servant, 3 copies of Product Prosperity, and 3 Super Polys. Of course you gotta run Super Polys. This is one of the best cards to just break your opponent's boards, and your opponent can't even respond to it. So I think it's necessary if you're running maybe a Fusion deck in general. Plus, if you have an Eldritch deck, you can run certain other cards that work. We'll probably be seeing a Garura in the extra deck, that's for sure. For the traps, 3 Conquistadors, 2 Dogmatica Punishments, 3 Elixirs. It's a good searcher. Plus, I think it also brings back from the graveyard, right? Let me double check. Special summon 1 Zombie Monster from your deck or grave. Yep, so that does work. Elixir, and then 1 Hakuro, 1 Metaverse. Wow, this guy really is trying to search his Mystic Mind. 3 Skill Drains. For the extra deck, we got 2 Albions. It's to be expected. 1 Constellar Pleiades, which is also to be expected in the Eldritch strategy. 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy. Wow. 1 Elder Entity Natis. 1 Garura. Yep, I called it. 1 Link Spider. 1 Lubellion the Searing Dragon. 1 Lena the Light Charmer. 2 Mirror Jades, 1 Mud Dragon of the Swamp. Okay, so there's our second Super Poly target. 1 Dracostapelia, another Super Poly target, and Titan Clan, the Ash Dragon, and then we got Vampire Fascinator in there as well. So for the side deck, we got Evenly Matched at 3, Dimensional Barrier at 3 as well, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 3 Lava Golems. Interesting. Honestly, I might experiment with this in my Eldritch deck, just because you almost never normal summon. At least I'm running a pure version, so I almost never normal summon just because you set all the trap cards and then you special summon the Eldritch. You almost never normal summon the Eldritch, so it's not too much of a negative setback. 1 Necroworld Banshee, interesting. 3 Solemn Judgment and 1 and 1 Zombie World. That makes sense. This is the first deck I've seen actually run Zombie World so far, and that would completely shut down Flunderies. So definitely, I would say Zombie World. If we're still seeing Flunderies, Zombie World is going to come. It's going to be there. So it's expected. next we got Mathmech, which this is a deck that's really seeing some play. It's very popular these days. It's only $638, which I know is a lot, but compared to some of these other prices, yeah, it's like half. It's cut in half. So 3 Ash Blossoms, 1 Code Generator, 3 DD Crows, 1 Dot Scaper, 3 Effect Veilers, 3 Addition, 3 Circular, 3 Diameter, 3 Multiplication, 1 Multiplication. Oh, wow, I just called everything at 3. So 2 Demeters, 1 Multiplication, 1 Sigma, 3 Subtraction, 3 Microcoder, 1 Nibiru, and 2 Parallel Exceed. Interesting. For the spells, we got Called by the Grave, of course, Signet Codec, 3 Signet Mining. There's a lot of just overall decks that have potential to take advantage of this because there's a lot of Cyberse cards or Cyberse decks in general that are seeing some play. We got 1 Mathmech Equation, 3 Small Worlds, interesting, and 3 Triple Tactics Talent, which of course is making a comeback. Small World, I know a lot of people at my locals love this card, so I can completely see it being played. It is a good card. For the traps, we got 1 Conflict, of course, the 3 Impermanent Permanents, the Induction, and of course the newly extremely expensive Super Factorial. So for the extra deck, we are going to be looking at Axis Code Talker at 1, Code Talker at 1, Code Talker Inverted at 1, Decode Talker Heat Soul at 1, X Code Talker at 1. This was just talkers, code talkers. 1 Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid, Geomath Mech Final Sigma, 1 Lingaribo to get rid of traps, I believe. 1 Pit Knight Early, which this card is a relatively new one. I pulled like 80 of these out of Power of the Elements. It seems like a good card. I just haven't gotten a chance to play around with it too much. 1 Primathmic Alimberton. This card I did try out a little bit in my Vernisylph deck, so still working on figuring this out. But 1 Primathmic Laplacian, 2 Splash Mage, and 1 Transcode Talker. All right, for the side deck, we got ourselves 2 Cosmic Cyclone, 3 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Ghost Spell in Haunted Mansion, 3 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Okay, so it's mostly just counters for certain things. 1 Red Reboot. So, okay, that makes sense. It's a fair, easy enough. And the side deck, honestly, kind of cheap besides the Lightning Storms. So, it's all stuff worth picking up. And then I believe that is it. So, this one was a little bit longer of a video, but there's so many different decks and so many different strategies right now that are doing pretty decent. Now, I would expect Sprites and Tier Limits to be dominating, but kind of surprised to see like there are some other decks that are still doing pretty decent, guys. So definitely really excited for the modern metas to see where it goes. However, Ashizu may change that because everyone's going to be running Tier Elements, and everyone knows that everyone's going to be running Tier Elements. So we'll see how that goes. But anyways, guys, this is PlotArmorCards signing out for the day. If you like what you see, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And oh my goodness, look at the time.
It's time to do